Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it. Oh, yeah. Today I got a... Macho Man. Sorry. Today I got a book in the mailbox. It actually came in the mailbox days ago. But I'm going to show it to you. I took and I cut the top of the box and then I said, wait a second. Somebody might care about this moment, this magic moment. That's overselling it a little bit. But there's an author named Robert McCammon. Ever hear of him? It's not Robert Parker, who is another great author, Robert B. Parker, Robert R. McCammon. Two of my favorites of all time. But Robert McCammon is an author that I've met a couple times. He does, or he has done, some appearances, some launch parties for new books that had come out at a place called Alabama Booksmith. In or around Birmingham, Alabama. And I've got a kind of a home away from home in Fort Payne, Alabama, a place I love, but it's a couple hours from Birmingham. So for a couple years, I made plans to be in Fort Payne. Therefore, when Robert McCammon was in Birmingham doing a book launch event, I drove slightly more than 2 hours from Fort Payne to Birmingham. Went and saw him. Got to see some cool people. Some online people, folks like Jeff Terry and Tony Thomas and others. I don't want to start listing names because I'm going to forget people. But anyway, seeing some cool cats, some book collectors from the internet, the Facebook groups and things like that. And I'm looking forward to doing the same thing this December. I believe it's December 6th. Getting to once again meet Robert McCammon and get some books signed. And it's going to be the launch party for the last book in his Matthew Corbett series called Leviathan, which I'm looking forward to having the book, meeting McCammon, meeting other people, hopefully getting to meet some new folks that I haven't met before. And, but I'm disappointed because this is supposed to be the last Matthew Corbett book. So I'm disappointed as in it's a sad moment knowing that one of my favorite series will come to an end. And I think it's a good thing. I don't really like it when series just go on and on because at some point I bail at some point. But on the other hand, it is nice to know that character's still out there doing what they do, on and on and on, even though I quit reading a lot of times once I get past 10, 12, 15 books. Typically, I just tend to bail. There's been some that I will revisit from time to time. Stephanie Plum's series by Janet Ivanovich is one that I may have gone a handful of years between reading, but occasionally I'll take a notion and I'll pick up the next one, read it, and enjoy it. But it's nice to know that Stephanie Plum's still out there wreaking havoc. But Matthew Corbett will not be. Robert McCammon says he's finished with that character. And okay, excellent. So I'm a little bit apprehensive, but I'm excited to get the book collection completed, to put a period at the end of it or exclamation point. Hopefully it'll be a happy ending. That's what I dig. I dig good endings like that. But the reason I'm doing this video is I ordered a book to get signed by Robert McCammon. Having gone twice and gotten a bunch of books signed, I got to the point where I had nothing of his that was unsigned that was really worth taking to get signed. I got some reader copies that are all ratty. I'm not going to get a guy to sign a ratty old paperback typically, unless it for some reason has some sentimental value to me. But trying to find some books to get signed. And there was one I really wanted. And I got a lot of versions of that. And that book is called, I don't know if you can see it, it's called Speaks to Nightbird. It's the first book in the Matthew Corbett series. And I've got a limited edition hardcover, I've got a trade edition hardcover, I've got that might be it. Until now, I ordered on eBay. I finally found one at a price I could tolerate. An ARC. And it was an auction. And somebody else, maybe you, bid on it. And I waited till 3 seconds until the auction ended and I put my maximum bid, which was quite a bit higher than the previous bid. And I was able to win it. So somebody missed out. And I tell you what, though, if it's you and you still want it, I'll cut a deal with you. I won't sell it to you or anything like that. I bought the book. It's mine. But let's make a deal. It can be both of ours. It can be both of ours. Both of ours. It can be our book. If you're the one that bid on it and then I sniped you or whatever they call that, where I took it at the last minute, it can be both of ours. We'll just keep it at my house, just so Dad won't be mad about it. We'll just keep it at my house. But it can be both of ours. I'll even get it signed. I'll get Robert McCammon in. If I get lucky, I'll get him to sign the book. But it'll be ours. Either way. Just keep it at my place. Anyway, that is the ARC, the advanced reader copy of Speaks the Nightbird. And I bought this on eBay, won an auction, and I started to open it and I thought better. But now I'm going to open it up. It's still wrapped up. This seller did a great job. It packaged it up very well in a box with stuff around it. And they put it in bubble wrap with the big bubbles, the stuff that makes good pops. Well, maybe not. Anyways, it's good stuff, and it's all taped up. But I want to get it out and take a look and make sure that it's as tippity top as it appeared to be in the listing. And then we'll kind of take a look at it, take a little talk about it, try to defeat the tape job, get her out, and we'll see. So this Speaks the Nightbird is a book that I put off reading for a long time. It's historical fiction, the Matthew Corbett series, and Speaks the Nightbird is the first book in that series. And it's an important one for many reasons. And you could probably hear Robert McCammon explain this to you in his own words like I did. But essentially, he had felt like he was boxed in to writing a certain type of book. A book that the publisher was wanting, and it was selling well at the time. He was known for it. And he felt boxed in writing a type of horror. And he wanted to write some other things. And nobody really was interested in it. At least not the publisher. So he spent a lot of time writing this book here, Speaks the Nightbird. And his publisher didn't like it. And they even made a comment about his use of the word Leviathan in the book, or in the manuscript. So at the end of the day, he took his ball and he went home. He took his book and he went home and said, forget you guys, I'm going home, in his own words. And he finally found a publisher and a deal, and made a deal for this publisher here to publish the book. And that is River City Publishing. And the book was fabulous. Speaks the Nightbird is one of my favorite books. One of my favorites. I got a lot of favorites, but it's one of my favorite books. And the publisher is now defunct, but I guess it did help give Robert McCammon the courage to say, hey, I'm a good writer. People want to read my junk. And it gave him the guts, or the motivation to use his guts and step out on his own, to leave the big five publishers, to go out, work with smaller presses, and make a good living, make a living, do whatever he does as far as money goes, and write the books that he wants to write. Sounds like a pretty good spot to be in. And he's making fabulous stuff. I honestly, truly believe Robert McCammon today is writing better than ever. And a lot of the all-time great authors can't say that. There's authors out there that people love, and their writing is not what it once was. Whatever. Age does things. Life does things. Money does things. Bad news. Whatever. People change. But I really feel like McCammon's a better writer now than he ever was. And Speaks the Nightbird started off not only the series, the Matthew Corbett series, but it started off a different phase of the Robert McCammon career. Get the R out. Robert R. McCammon became the Robert McCammon. And if you haven't read any of the Matthew Corbett books, I strongly recommend it. I, perhaps like you, was apprehensive because it is historical fiction. And historical fiction is some people's cup of tea. And not everybody's cup of tea, though. And I tend to be, I don't hate it, I don't love it. It's just not really something I tend to go after across the board. But then when you look at the era, this book took place in 1699 in North Carolina. I think it was Fount Royal was the name of the town, I think. Don't hate me if I'm wrong. Most of it took place in this little town. But it was just an era and time that I would never have been all that crazy about men wearing stockings, and I don't know. It's great part. It's an important part of history, but I don't know. For me, it wasn't a big fascination. Wasn't the era that I wanted to go back and always revisit. But I've changed by reading this series. I've changed. I'm much more interested in that period, and so if other authors pick up stuff similarly and write as well, I'm in without apprehension. But anyway, Matthew Corbett is a clerk for a traveling magistrate in the colonies in 1699, which is where this book took place. This isn't a full review, but just the gist of it, as my son would say. And they go to this town, I believe it was Fount Royal. They had a lady in prison that was accused of being a witch, and they had all but proven that she was a witch. They wanted to execute her, and so they had this magistrate coming in to pronounce sentence, essentially, bringing him in to say, yep, she's a witch, kill her. Matthew Corbett is the clerk for this magistrate, working for him, hoping that in time he'll get a chance to climb the ladder and hopefully one day himself be a magistrate. That was his ambition. He's a young man, 18, 19 years old, something like that. A long, lanky, tall, slim fellow, dark black hair. But at the end of the day, they get to this place. It's an adventure right from the start. This is a book that I'm going in thinking, I don't think I'm going to like this, but on page 1, I'm thinking, this is amazing. It was just that fast that I was interested. When you snap, you should make a sound. Remember that, kids. Anyway, right off the bat, I was very interested, and I couldn't wait. It was a page turner. I started reading it on an airplane flying to Alaska for a vacation with my family. And by the time I'd gotten back from Alaska, I'd read Speaks the Nightbird and loved it. The next book's very good also. Queen of Bedlam. Maybe a better book. I feel sentimentally, I think this is my favorite. Queen of Bedlam ultimately is probably a better book, but it's hard to say. Yeah, it's my favorite. I'm usually going to say this one. Started it all off. That's just the way I tend to be. But Matthew Corbett gets there, starts hearing some of the testimony from the witnesses, hearing some of the facts of the case, if you will, and almost right away he starts to find holes in the story. Things are not making sense. Just isn't adding up, and he's the kind of fellow that, regardless of his position in life, he can't let a question go unanswered. He can't let a puzzle go unsolved. He has to figure out why there are holes in these stories and what really happened. And in the process, in a very unpopular way to both his employer and the people in the town, the accusers, the leaders, the guilty parties, nobody is happy that Matthew Corbett is asking all of these questions and uncovering all of these problems. So that's kind of where the book ends up going. I won't tell you much more about that, but there's a series. Matthew Corbett goes on and on and on, and his career changes, his roles change, relationships change. It's a very good series. But this is the advanced review, or advanced reading copy, an ARC advanced reader's copy of that book. So this is the first version of Speaks the Nightbird that was ever put out in the general population. Before the trade, before the limited, this was the one that went out there. It wasn't for sale, but it was typically an ARC is given to people that might review books, that might advertise books, that might help to sell a book on publishing day. And it's very important to publishers and authors that when a book is released, it immediately starts selling. So ARCs are a way, let's get these things out in the circulation before the book goes on sale, so that people that talk about books can be talking about books, and that people that listen to people talk about books will be knowing that the book's coming out, and they're ready to buy right away when it comes out. So it's a neat deal, and a lot of collectors really dig ARCs. A lot of them collect only ARCs. And for years I didn't even mess with ARCs, because most of them at one point were very plain, no artwork at all. It was a page with a title and a publisher and author on it. On the spine it was the same thing. They were ugly, and I just never went for them. A lot of times they cost way too much money for a paperback book that was ugly for me to put on my shelf. And then over time, over the years, some publishers would put out some really nice looking arcs with the artwork on them, with artwork in them, and they were cool. So I would pick some up here and there, and eventually I kind of started saying, hey, on the books that I really dig, when they're available and I can get them without getting my pants pulled down over the price, I'll pick one up when the opportunity arises. So there we are. And this is the River City Publishing arc for Speaks to Nightbird, a book that to me is very important. One of my favorites for Robert McCammon. It's a very important book. It was essentially the next phase of his writing career. And now we're about to wrap up that series, the series that kind of changed everything for him. So anyway, it's essentially a trade edition paperback book. There aren't very many. I have no idea how many of these copies were made. There may be people out there who know things, how many arcs were available. There probably were quite a few. I've seen them for sale quite often over the years. And like I said, different publishers would do different versions. Some would put more in, some would put less in. And this is a relatively bare bones. There's what the text and the page color looks like. It does have a little bit on the front, so it's not completely plain. But otherwise, it's a relatively simple arc, which for me is a very important book that I do truly love. And I'm glad to have it. So this is a book that I'll try to get Robert McCammon to sign when I go to get books signed. Sometimes I get too many signed, but I want to get all my stuff signed anyway. And he's been gracious and kind. I've shown you the videos of him at the signings a couple times. But this one will be the first one. When you bring in a box of books, 3, 4, 10 books, this one will be on top. Just in case somehow I get cut off or the lights go out or Robert McCammon's hand cramps up or he gets mad and says, hey, you dumb son of a whatever, get out of my face, I don't like you. At least this one will be signed. This will be, for me, the cream of the crop, the tip of the top on the books that I take this time. I've got some others, and I'll show you. I'll show you in a video which ones I'm going to try to get signed and which ones that he signs and all that junk. Put a little part of him signing in there, maybe a conversation if it comes up. But that's what I got. Speaks to Nightbird. I'm glad to have this one in my collection. This is an important one for me. I'll be really excited to get it signed. And with that being said, I can think of no more lies to tell. Thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. C'est la vie, baby. Doo-doo.